Good afternoon, everybody. Can you see and hear me well? I can see so many people being online, but can you hear me? So I can see people from all around Ukraine. Yes, so yeah, Lada can hear me. Tamara as well. Elena, yes. So greetings to everyone on this hopefully warm in your region November day. My name is Victoria Pleshkova. I'm MM Publications ELT consultant in Ukraine, and today we're talking about lesson planning and why a real teacher needs it. Yeah, how can it help us? Yes, such a simple thing as lesson planning. If you're an experienced teacher, you definitely can do well without a lesson plan, especially if you have a favorite book and the program is taught by you many times for different classes, for different children, and so when you do it for the first time, probably you need it. For the second, third, fourth time, so it seems not so important. But still, today I will try to highlight some important issues which will hopefully help you to improve your lesson planning, and so hopefully today I will be able to show you that lesson planning is crucial and important for us. And moreover, I'd like to add that good planning will help us to cope with any emerging problems, predict some questions, define challenges. So there are many recommendations. So what is the teacher supposed to do in order to write a good or brilliant lesson plan? Of course, there are some standards which we need to follow, but also on the other hand, each of us is individual, and we take into consideration many different things. And moreover, we teach different students with different backgrounds, and this information can also change our lesson planning crucially. But as usual, before we dive directly to the topic of our meeting, so to lesson planning, in particular 5 ways to organize your lesson plan, let me bother you a couple of minutes and tell you about MM Publications, about what we're doing in Ukraine. So probably there are some new people with us today who don't know much about us. So then, first of all, I'd like to underline that MM Publications is an international publishing company. We publish books for the whole world and for Ukraine in particular. So you may find, if you go to our international website, that's mmpublications.com, you will find the information about representatives in every country, in every part of our planet, on every continent. So we publish for Asia, for Latin America countries, also for European countries, and of course, as I already mentioned, for Ukraine in particular. And we may offer you books for teaching all ages of students, starting with pre-primary students courses. So here you may see the covers of one of our best courses. They are the New EP, High Kids, and Funny Phonics. By the way, if you teach primary school children, Funny Phonics might be a very good complementary course to your main course, as it aims teaching some phonic aspects which are usually different for understanding and for learning by children, as you know. So the pronunciation has to be developed on the beginning stages, and this book will help you in that. If you would like to see some of our books, you may contact the linguist company representatives, and they will send you the books via post, Nova Posta, and you will be able to look through those books, to hold them, to touch, to see the syllabus, to ask all questions about them, and of course it costs nothing to you. And as every publisher and as every developing company and as every developing person, we try to introduce something new every year, so periodically, and this year we introduced two brand new courses for teaching young learners, that's the course Youngsters, and for teaching young adults and adults, that's the course Pioneer. So they are the brand new courses which are designed according to the latest methodologies, and here I won't bother you with the detailed description of them because you may find it on our website, and moreover you may again contact our manager and ask them to send you those books so you will be able to evaluate them personally, because as practicing teachers we all know, so it doesn't matter who tells me what until I see it and I will try some exercises, so I won't be able to make up my mind about them. And also what is important about publications that we will help you not only to conduct interesting lessons, but and we will help you plan those lessons with spending minimum time. So later on I will tell you about this, how in MM we see this thing. But also we will help you to prepare to the most popular international exams, so you may see the books which we may offer to you. So we will help you with preparation of the youngest learners, with the exams Go Starters, Go Movers, Go Flyers, and of course the most popular international exams which are required not only for school children but also for adult people. So because FCE is more school exam for especially specialized schools, they require them. They require it, sorry, but IELTS is more popular for adult people and for those who are planning to live and to study in foreign countries. So these books, they will help you to prepare your students to the exams, as they contain sample tests which give students the real feeling of the exam and of what will happen during it. And also, so as many times I say, as many times I conduct events for teachers, many times I say that grammar drills is a crucial thing and it's an inseparable part of our lessons, as the memory of our students, unfortunately, is not long-lasting. They will remember the things which we are wearing, but they will forget about what we taught during the previous lesson. And that's why drill and constant repetition is a crucial thing. Moreover, those courses, they are designed for our main courses. So we may say that almost every course which is offered by MM Publications is accompanied by grammar books, so which matches not only the level but also the topic, because when you need to teach food for the elementary level, so if you find some exercises in pre-intermediate, that's not so convenient for us. We need to make a lot of changes, and here everything is designed for you. And again, we may offer you the books starting with the beginner level, and also we may we will lead you to the higher levels of finishing B2 and C1 level. And also the readers, yes. So here I saw the question about the books, yes, so which are behind me. So they are all MM courses, yes. So here, there above, we have to the top of New Destinations, Full Blast, Pioneer. Here we have our primary courses, and here behind me there are readers which accompany the main courses. Also, what is good about readers which are produced by MM Publications, that they can be used not only for developing reading skills, so for working with information and for working with text, but also for developing listening skills. As you know that this year listening will be a must-be part of our state exam of ZNO. So that's why so for those students who are not passing the exam this year, but who still have some time for preparation, you may use the books just for additional training for training skills. And also, each of them is accompanied by interactive CD. Interactive CD will waste. On the one hand, this is the audio CD, which you may listen inside the classroom, and on the other hand, this is interactive CD, which allows you to watch the story as interactive cartoon, and especially that's attractive for younger learners. And moreover, for the youngest learners, we offer a chance to listen to a story with the British or with American pronunciation. As I already mentioned, teaching phonetics and the basics of pronunciation is important on the beginnings level of acquiring language. So that's why these readers, they are great assistants for us in this case. And there is also a series of readers which includes the script for staging. So again, as I always say, so you may kill two hares with one shot. So you will read the book, and at the end of the year, when you have some special events, which dedicated to foreign language, or in general, you need to organize some concert. So why not to stage something and impress your colleagues, the school administration, and of course the parents. And moreover, this is an enjoyable process, and your students will like it. So, and moreover, the generation which we are teaching there, they spend more time online than communicating with each other. False statement. They communicate with each other, but mostly online. That's why mostly they trust everything that is published on the internet and everything that can be found on the internet. So that's why for the teachers, useful information that you may go to our international website, that's mmpublication.com. In section Resources for Teachers, you will find the information free exercises for downloading. And also we started our brand new ELT platform. So ELT platform is a platform where you can register if you use Books under that condition. And there you may create your virtual class and register your students, of course, and provide them tasks, and you may track their success. So how well they perform the exercises. You may set the tasks using this online platform. You may provide them feedback, and moreover, what is important, especially in terms of exam preparations, that you may track the time which students spend on this or that exercise, because especially when we teach teenagers, they like exaggeration. They like exaggerating everything, me practicing teacher, when of course each exercise which I offer to my students, I try it out myself, and when I know that it took me 7 minutes, so from 6 to 7 minutes, so for my students it will be at least 13 minutes, something like so, on this level. And when they pass me the exercise, hand in the exercise and tell me that it took me 3 minutes, I will never believe that. And the ELT platform gives us a real chance to see their progress and how well they are performing the exercises. Because, of course, the exam preparation is a separate topic on which we can organize an extra webinar. But in terms of exam preparation, the timing is getting extremely important. So that's why ELT platform is your free extra component which you may use for better results of your students. Because good result is important not only for students but also for teachers. I was happy to last week to meet with teachers whose students every year receive over 190 points at the NO. And why not to have some extra resource which will make our life easier, but still it will be efficient for our students. And also, I'd like to remind you that Publications has special program for Ukrainian teachers. So it means acquiring extra if you acquire the books, if you accept the books by MM publications for your schools, for your lessons, you will receive extra discounts and moreover free components for your students. This is important, especially when not all of your students have a chance to acquire books, because in relationship we have many sides, so there are all, not only teacher student, but all teacher, school administration, students, and also their parents. And some parents, they don't understand why they should get it. And sometimes it takes time to explain them that it will lead to better result. So in this chance, you have some free books which you may give to, which you may provide to your students, and just have a normal class without some, let's say, white crowds, which make our lesson planning more difficult. And again, so we're also happy to be the part of the new Ukrainian School project. You know that the new Ukrainian School will start next year, and especially for this, some of the schools, they have the trial testing. There are some trial classes, and we are happy to present to Ukraine special edition for Smart Junior, which is built based on the neuro-linguistic programming theory, but you shouldn't be afraid of it, because it aims faster development of personal qualities and critical thinking and all the 21st century skills, because all of them are included into the book, even for the first grade students. And if you would like to receive more information, again, you may contact me or managers of the Linguist company and find out the information about our books and about all the methodologies which the books are built on. And the last but not the least information for you is about this winter. So as I wrote to one of the teachers who I know personally here in chat, that I already plan I'm already making the list of presents, so for my close people, which I want to present them with this year. And moreover, we are working hard on our MM Publications Teacher Training Winter School. So what it means? It means that after the new year, during the period of the winter break, there will be special event held in Ivano-Frankivsk, in the western part of Ukraine, and there will be several days in a row, which when we will conduct special sessions, trainings for Ukrainian teachers, and it will be fantastic event where will be present two trainers, one Ukrainian trainer and another is our native speaker, Angela Constance. So probably some of you have already attended her seminars, and she will be available for several days in a row, and she will hold workshops and also pictorial classes for Ukrainian teachers, and you have a chance to join this event. More information you may find about this event you may find on our Ukrainian website, that's mmpublications.com.ua, and the registration is a must-be of a part of this event. And for the moment, the event is organized for teachers who are already using our books or who have already acquired our books for their classes. But again, so more information is available on our Ukrainian website, so please go there, and if you have some questions, so please don't hesitate to contact and ask them. And then let's move on closer to the topic, so to lesson planning, So I already mentioned, so the lesson planning seems less necessary. So the more, let's say, so it works this way. So the more experienced teacher is, the less he or she thinks that he requires this lesson plan, because usually this lesson plan goes from one year to another, and it contains the same information. But let's talk about not the lesson plan which we hand for our school administration, but the real one, which will make our lesson easier and more useful. And I have a question to you. Yeah, so when I have questions, so you may write your answers into our chat box. So what point do you personally take into account while writing a lesson plan? So what are the most important issues for you when you write the lesson plan? Okay, aims, okay, good. Okay, purposes of the lesson, okay, so aims, yeah. More interactive objectives, pupils' abilities, time management, quantity of the task. Interesting. Age, of course, yeah, we take into consideration. Motivation, material, yeah. Outcomes, yay. Objectives, great. Participants of the training event. Okay, if you have a training, but if you have lesson, that's something. So what was previously taught? Lesson dynamics. Okay, very well, thank you. So you see, many people, so many minds. So there are, of course, there are some general unique things. Yeah, so first point, yeah, so we determine is our aim. Yeah, so it helps us to organize our thoughts and to see where we are going to according to the aim. Yeah, and it helps us to define them, and it contributes in our development as a teacher, because every time we define something, we will see what has to be done in order to achieve it. And also the lesson plan will help us to cope with problems. So this thing which I am going to highlight a little bit later. So while writing a lesson plan, we think of, first of all, is learners. Yes, so who we are going to teach. Are they primary school children? Are they secondary school? So, or probably you're working with students. Yeah, and depending on this, we will choose the material and we will write the lesson plan. Oh, the psychological peculiarity. Yeah, so I like this thing. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Thank you. So then also aims. Yes, so the first reply which I received by asking my question is aims. Yes, so we need to see the aims of the lesson. Yes, so what is the main thing? But aims might be different, so, and we will focus on those different aims a little bit later. Then materials. Yes, so what materials are you going to use? For instance, if you use some of the books which do not contain many pictures, you need to think that additionally, extra to this, I need to prepare some pictures, and I need to write it into my plan that I take picture from here or from there, which I have already collected. So personally, I have a collection of pictures for teaching students, which were a special collection for primary school, for secondary, and for adults. For primary school, it's quite easy because there are flashcards. For instance, in the MEM publications for teaching primary school, we have beautiful flashcards, and you may build just a whole lesson just working with those flashcards. And also timing. Planning timing is crucial, as it helps you not only to see how many of your aims you may work at. Yeah, so I mean, not just to go through, but to work at and to achieve a result. And also planning timing and planning the time which you will spend for every of the activities will help you to define, to reduce the this TTT thing. Yeah, so TTT, do you understand the abbreviation TTT? I believe there are many of those who already know it. Hello, Lviv. Hello, Paramite. So, TTT. Is there anybody who knows what is TTT? Teacher talking time, yeah. Thank you, ladies. So I haven't seen gentlemen in the registration form, but if there are gentlemen, so thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So TTT, that's teacher talking time. Yes, sometimes it happens that the teacher is so brilliant that he is becoming the center of the classroom, and the aim of the aim of a student in this case is not to learn, but just to soak up this sunshine from this brilliant teacher. And teacher talking time has to be reduced. That's why when we plan timing, we see how much time will be required for our students to cope with the exercise, and it will help us to make our students, to make our TTT, so to make our instructions more laconic and more effective for students. Because when I explain something for 2 minutes, of course, my students will understand me. But if I can deal with it within 2 sentences, again, it will be more effective for them. And from perspective of this new Ukrainian school, so the project which I already mentioned, yeah. So previously the approach to the classroom was so the teacher-centered classroom, yeah. So and that's why teacher was talking, the students were listening. But now we're moving to the student-centered classroom, and naturally that the TTT will be reduced, and STT, so if TTT, that's teacher talking time, so STT, the students talking time. So again, teacher talking time is decreasing, student talking time is increasing. So, and again, in this task, in such situation, when you are planning this timing, when you are more laconic, you have more chance to track the success of your students, to track their progress, to see what they are doing right and what they are doing wrong, and you have more time for taking notes and for very effective feedback for your students, because our remarks during the lesson, especially when we interrupt students, might be painful for them. But if it's a constructive feedback, especially if it's a feedback sandwich, so positive, negative, positive, by our students, it's taken much better. And also, the thing which we need to plan and which we need to include into our plan is the atmosphere. So, when I was a student myself, during the second year of studying at university, the first of the recommendations which I received from my teacher was always plan some extra activity. You always need to have something hidden into your pocket. But there is a thing, yeah. So because previously, so a couple of months ago, I already conducted the webinar about the icebreakers, the warmer-ups, the games, and the time fillers. So if some of you watched it, so if you didn't, so you may just find the recording or your notes. So atmosphere is also a crucial thing, and when you plan your lesson, you always need to have something which can easily change the atmosphere inside the classroom. For instance, they may be different icebreakers. Yeah, so what cards? For instance, for my students, I always have a set of cards with true-false statements, yes-no statements. Yeah, so it means that I have a little card, yes, or I can take a sticker and simply put plus or minus, or either letters T or F. And I spread them among students and we play a game. So their task is to make statements according to the topic. If they have positive, so they have plus or little T, or positive, so it depends on the students, they need to provide us with some true information about themselves. If they have F, negative, so they need to tell a lie. And the other students in the classroom, they are guessing what that is. So this is a kind of a game, so it's a productive activity. And also those students who are who always the students who guess yes, or whether the statement is true or false, they just take these cards, and those cards are their points. So, and you see, when you have such general idea as T or F, yeah, so just true statement, false statement, you can adjust it to every topic and every stage of the lesson, but it is very good for changing atmosphere. And if you write a detailed lesson plan, you may include such icebreakers into your lesson plan. It doesn't mean that every time before the lesson you need to make a research or what of the activities, or you need to think, oh, and what if my students are in a bad mood? No, but there are some things which might be logically planned. For instance, if your students come to your English lesson after 2 lessons of math, of course, logically, they will be tired because math is exhausting thing for children. And that's why you need to include some activities which will help you to warm them up. So this is the thing which means the atmosphere. And in the wrong atmosphere, we cannot speak about effective teaching, because everything we do has to be effective. Every action that is taken by us has to lead to some outcome. Yeah? So when I asked you a question about what is important for your lesson, some of you mentioned the outcome. Yeah, so also we need to see not only the aim, but the outcome. Of course, when we write the aim, so we correspond everything that we do in the lesson according to this aim. But again, so there are some things which are also important. So then let me share with you some information which I include in my lesson plan and which helps me to have more, which helps me to be as it seems to me more interesting for my students. So first of all, each lesson plan has to include the background data. Yeah, so the background data, so when, what we are doing, so some general information according to which we are going to plan our further activity. So, and when you plan your lessons, so why of course, I'm going to show you some of the examples how we do it in MM publications. So, some pieces of advice we give in our books. So, that your plan should include essential steps and avoid long descriptions of your action, especially those you do it automatically. If you do this, if you write everything, stand up and raise your hands, put down your hands, so it will make it more complicated. Good lesson plan is laconic. Like here, we have the lesson plan from the teacher's book of Smart Junior. It covers all the stages, all the materials, and moreover, it provides the answers to all the keys to the all exercises. That's also important for you. And also here, so if you go again to our international website, mmpublications.com, and write in the search line Smart Junior, you will find the free sample pages, and you will see these pages with all commentaries and all the details of your plan. So what I'm driving at that, this plan covers aims, materials, and also every stage. Because sometimes, especially with primary school, it happens that when we open the books, we see only one picture. Yeah? And our question is, what am I supposed to do within 15 minutes using only this one picture? And there are actually many, many things which you may do using those pictures. And so everything, again, is given in your lesson plan. And moreover, again, so what I mentioned about cards. So about cards, so probably I skipped something about why you're writing me your emails. I already got your email address. So cards, you may create those cards yourself. So every time I have a lesson, I just, if I don't have them prepared, I just take piles of those office papers or simply cut a sheet of paper and write everything I need on those papers. Yeah, and if you mean the flashcards for Smart Junior, unfortunately, you may only contact our managers and acquire them. So under other conditions, we cannot send them. But let me come back to the lesson, to the sample of the lesson plan which we have here. So you may see that one of the activities in the lesson plan is highlighted in yellow color. So in yellow color in Smart Junior and also in Zoom in our courses for primary school, we highlight optional activities. So they are like for example cards, that what I mentioned. So they are the thing which you might do and you mightn't do, depending on how much time you got at the lesson. Because even when you plan the timing for your lesson, sometimes something can go faster, or it might happen that sometimes you need to wait. Especially it happens with me and my colleagues when we have the listening activities, and we need to share this the CD or something. So when I need to wait and I have a couple of minutes, then I can use these optional activities, or I can use this icebreaker to change the atmosphere inside the classroom. But again, I always have it written in my lesson plan. Just extra, I may do this, or this. So everything can be given. And then, of course, what I include in my lesson plan, they are main lesson aims. So, again, main lesson aims, so they are the things which my students will learn. So they are the things which I want to teach them. Also, materials. To plan materials is extremely important. Once, not so long ago, I heard a joke that you may always see a teacher in the crowd. Why? Because the teacher usually has a big bag or a backpack which is filled with different things which are logically not connected. It can be the map of the world or the globe, different balls, pictures, and that the most of the teachers never wear high-heeled shoes because we just walk much and we need to move a lot, so that's why our feet get tired. But also plan what I'm driving at, so that we need extra materials. Except for our wonderful books which we have, we also always need to forget that our learners, they are different. So these different types of people who receive information through different channels. So auditory learners, or kinesthetic, so who need touching or they need movement. And of course, the biggest part of information, more than 80%, we receive through visual channel. But it doesn't mean that we need to focus only on that. So that's why extra materials, they also have to be written in our plan. And moreover, when you write this plan, it always works better in your head, and you will never forget what you need for the next time. And always write your lesson plan after the previous. Again, I'm talking about real plans, so not the ones, of course, those which we write for the semester or for the whole year, they're good. They help us to keep track on our big aim, so general aim of the course or of the grade with the students. But anyway, for every lesson, each of us, I can bet that each of us has got some notebook where we take notes about the homework, what we did during the lesson. So why don't you plan your materials before that? And what is good about our courses, so especially for primary school. So I already mentioned that this year we presented the new course, the Youngsters, and at the end of the lesson, so in the teacher's book, you even have the notes what you need to prepare for the next lesson. So you don't have it you also have it in the description in the beginning of the next, but at the end of the present, you have the notes. So take colorful paper, scissors, glue, so for the next lesson. So something like that. It makes our life easier, and again, it is easier for us to plan something. Then the next thing, they are personal goals. So when we write the plan, that's not only about our students. That's also about us. And personal goals, this is how we can improve our teaching style. So from lesson to lesson, we can trace our mistakes, notice advantages as well as disadvantages, and also to correct them. This is what can we do. For instance, I know that sometimes my teacher talking time can be too much when we speak about some topics. And when I write my plan, so I try to avoid this situation of my students. So the situation of my students become just passive listeners of the information which I'm trying to give, to provide to them. So this, again, not only for the school administration, not only for students, but that's also for us, for our personal goals. Then also in our plan we include target language items. So this is what we call the vocabulary and the grammar. But again, according to new standards of education, if previously the vocabulary and grammar, they were the first issues which we would write, so nowadays they are just materials, they are tools which we use for creating our lesson and all the genre and all the big things. So that's why this thing is usually written at the end. But still, we need to focus on them because, again, when we speak about future tense, and if we need to train the to be going to construction, we don't need to blend it, to mix it at first with will or with present continuous or something that our students are already familiar with. So just to focus on what we do. So teaching and learning is the long way which requires small steps, and we need to write. Of course, we need to write. We need to plan all the steps. Yeah. So I like this thing which I see now in the chat box. So sometimes you see the plan in a second, and sometimes you can spend hours. Yeah, sure, I agree. But anyway, it doesn't mean that we don't have to do it. So then the next thing, again, is the timetable. So the thing which I already focused on, we need to plan our time. So reduce teacher talking time and to increase the students' talking time. Again, we need to teach them real language. And again, coming back to our state exam, so ZNO will have listening. It's a fact this year, and for the next year, probably it will. So it's most likely that it will stay as it is at the moment. And that's why developing listening skills becomes a crucial thing. But still, many students at the moment, they are not really skillful at listening because usually we don't have time for this because the time of our lesson is limited, and we need to focus on many other things. So that's why the first recommendation is when you need to teach them listening, add some speaking. This is real life, and it helps to improve listening skills. And again, as from the perspective of your timetable, you will see the balance between all of the four skills which you are implementing into your lesson. And here I'd like to show you the sample of one of our books. That's the New Destination course, and you see how the teacher's book look like for the teacher. Yeah. So on the one hand, we have the sample, so the page, the full copy of what student does see in the student book, and on the other hand, we see the keys and the recommendations. And if you use the teacher's book like this, here you don't even need to write a lesson plan. So you may simply cross something out, add a sticker with not to forget information, and to plan time on every stage. Yes, so stage 1, so you are offered one way of work. If you accept it, you just need to write. So 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 1 minute, 7 minutes, depends on the task. And using such material of such kind makes your life easier and more effective for your students. And also another thing which usually we are not taught to do it in our teaching training educational establishments, but still some of the teachers mention it. So in our lesson plan, so in our personal lesson plan, we should include predicted problems. So meaning predictable problems, so what difficulties I might face during the lesson while teaching this or this thing. Yeah, so for instance, if I'm going to go through the present simple with my students, and I know that some of my students is easily distracted while we're working on grammar. Yes, so I can write in my plan. Yes, so just keep an eye on Mary, or bring marriage closer to me, or just give her some extra task or provide some extra cards, show colorful pictures, and so on and so forth. So they are the things which are called the predicted problems. Yeah. So this is the thing which I want to remind you of, and this is your magic wand, because every teacher, trainer, or educator may tell you much about how you should do this or that type of work during the lesson. But those predicted problems, they are magic wand in your hands, because only you know what might happen during your lesson, because they are your students who you teach for some period of time, so for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and only you is the one who knows the best what might happen. But again, all this information has to be put on paper. This is the common thing with psychological issues, like when we have an intention to do something. Yeah. So when we have it in our head, we need to write it on paper, because if we don't have it on paper, it will never happen. Of course, 95% that it won't happen. Okay, so not never. So no categorization. And the same thing with the lesson. So write it so you will be ready. So your mind will focus on this information in a different way. And again, this is just adding some extra column. Then, when we're planning your lesson, another thing which we need to remember is the syllabus. Yeah, so syllabus of our books. Of course, it has to be approved by the Ministry of Science and Education. Yeah, so that's why I am showing you the samples of MM books, because they all have got the ministry seals, and it has to correspond the state program. So anyway, we have this frame approach, but anyways, there are some topics which have to be covered, and we cannot just omit them, because at the end, during the exam, the students will have tasks based on those topics. That's why just avoiding them is a big mistake. Then it has to be contemporary. So I always give the same example during all my seminars. When we teach the modern generation, I'm not focusing on teaching adults, but teaching school children. If you have a book which includes such lexical items as landline, so landline, so the phone which cannot be moved from the apartment, we cannot take it with. If you have the word landline, forget about this book. It might be the best book you have ever met, so methodology is good, but if it's so old-fashioned, if it's not contemporary, you cannot use it, because how can we teach the students who don't even know what the landline is? Some of them have never seen the landline. So the book has to be contemporary. And also exciting and motivating. So every time they open the book, there have to be something interesting for them. And for you, for easier planning, so in all our books, when you open the first page, you can see all the syllabus, so everything that's included: grammar, vocabulary, so communicative topics, listening situations, so everything that will help you to organize your lesson more effectively. So actually, working with the material like this is like making puzzle pictures. So you begin with little detail and you put it on the right place according to your lesson plan, and so you get the full picture. And moreover, again, so it has to be modern and motivating. If we speak about gadgets, we may talk about all mobile phones only in comparison with the modern ones, and the pictures have also be motivating. But coming back to the aims, so again, the first thing when you plan the lesson, think about the aim. But as for the aims, they may be different, so they are the main aims, so the main aims, this is what we want to teach our students, Also, there are another type of the aims, they are achievement aims, so what do we want to achieve on this or that stage of the lesson? And the procedure aims. So what skills I want to be covered by my student during this or that exercise. So the main aim covers the whole result of the lesson. So achievement, they can be evaluated by steps, by stages of the lesson, and procedure, they are things we focus on while doing this or that exercise. So that's also different things and we don't need to forget about them. And also, another thing, another assistant for planning your lesson, so which you may find in Full Blast or New Destinations, for instance. So they are the learning tips, but also I call them the rules, yeah, so, or extra help. Especially that's useful for young teachers who haven't got much experience, and also for experienced teachers, they probably could find some new ideas there inside. So what is important, that what I'm driving at, that those learning tips, they are lists of recommendations of work in the classroom, outside the classroom, of working with different types of exercise, of performing exam activities, listening tasks, reading tasks. So different tips about how to work with listening for gist or listening for details, and the other things. So, and there are things which will help you to plan your lesson again. Because if you begin your year with covering those demands, yes, so students will know what to expect, and from the perspective of timing, it will save your time on explaining the task every time, because it will be quite clear for everybody inside the classroom. So, and another thing, yeah, so several tips which are favorite by me and by my colleagues. So the first thing that you should do during the lesson, yeah, so this is to pop culture. Why? It increases the speed of your lesson. Because pop culture, this is something that happens around us. Yeah, so can you recognize this young gentleman on the picture? Do you know who can it be? I don't know it. Bieber, yay! His name is Justin Bieber. He's a pop singer. He's approximately 20 years old or something, so we need to check in Wikipedia. What is interesting about Justin Bieber phenomenon? Yeah, so Justin Bieber is a pop singer, and he has got many fans, but he's also has got many haters. Yes, so if you don't know who haters are, so ask your students; they will definitely know it. What I'm driving at, that he's a personality who is liked or not liked by everybody, but he's also the one who became extremely popular mostly because of his haters, because they spoke so much about how they don't like and how not talented Justin is, that still it was a buzz, yeah, and everybody found out and everybody wanted that just to check, yeah, so who didn't know about him, who that is and what should I do. So bringing inside the classroom such little things, again, that's about your lesson planning. If you need to speed your lesson a little bit, yeah, so just to light your student from inside, talk about the pop culture. Then, and also refer to pop culture. So that also corresponds with the issue of using modern books. Yeah, so contemporary topics. So if Beyonce is a pop singer at the moment, so let's talk about Beyonce. If the Jamie Oliver videos have the highest rates from all cooking videos on YouTube, so just talk about Jamie Oliver. This is all. That's all is included in our students' book, and you may find all the information there. Another thing, which I already mentioned, but like to remind you about, remember about various learning styles. So that visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Of course, there are also gustatory and olfactory people. So those who recognize very well the smell and the taste of something. Of course, during the lesson, it's difficult to imagine how can we use it. But for instance, for primary school, when we have food topics, so why not to organize something like this to bring inside the classroom the apple or banana or something like that. And of course, I'm not trying to give some universal tips which you must use, but why not to consider such idea and not to include it in your lesson plan? Again, when you write your lesson plan, you can even follow the percentage of the activities which you use. So this activity is visual, this activity is visual, this activity is auditory, for instance, we're doing the listening task, and no kinesthetic activities at all. So it means that something has to be changed. And usually those extra activities which I mentioned at the beginning, so some extra cards, yes, or some quizzes or games, yes, so they should be kinesthetic. So TPR activities, they are active not only for primary school children, but for all ages of students. And also use technology. Of course, the issue of finance, yes, so can we use or can't? But on the other hand, almost every student has a smartphone. And sometimes our students have better smartphones than their teachers do. So why not to ask them to use them on purpose? Yeah, so ask your students to Google some information. If you have Wi-Fi at school, that's great. Of course, if you have the interactive whiteboard inside the classroom, so just go and use it, because I have been to some schools which have those interactive whiteboards, but they use them only for some demonstrational lessons. So it shouldn't be like this. It's a part of our real life. It's an inseparable part of life. So just go and use it and plan this time, because working with technology, on the one hand, it's fast because you just need to click some icons, but on the other hand, it might be time consuming. That's also the thing which we need to include in our into our lesson plan. And another thing, yes, so much information, many tips, but please do not overplan. Try to plan a lesson, maximum 2 lessons ahead, because every time after you finish your lesson, you need to make an evaluation, what we've done, what has to be brought to the next lesson, what we should forget about, or I personally as a teacher should forget about. Because when I was beginning teaching, for instance, I often had such situation when I was over planning. I wanted to do this, and this activity, and I was giving my students some tasks as a homework, as a preparation to this activity, which I was planning to the next lesson. But eventually, I didn't have time for this one, and then in a month, my students asked me, so, and why did we do this? So that was a painful thing, but hopefully it will never happen to me again, and effective lesson plan will save me and help my students to do everything effectively. So, and the last thing which I wanted to remind you about, that's not about the lesson planning, so that's about publications, that we started our partnership program for Ukraine Smart School. So we have got over 50 participants all around Ukraine, and their number is growing, and we are constantly trying to keep in contact. By the way, if you are one of our participants, if you are the teacher from a smart school, please check email, because you were sent some special information concerning the MM publication teacher training winter school. So just check your emails, please. And if you have never heard of MM Publications program, Smart School, so you may go to our Ukrainian website, that's mmpublications.com.ua, and find information there. But in general, so the information which you wanted to deliver, that the participants of our program, they receive some of the benefits, numerous benefits. So the first one is the branded plaque. So this is how you can recognize our Smart School when entering it. So double sets of free components, of course, which I mentioned in the beginning. So there are some regular sets of free components, and for our Smart School, there are double sets of free components. And of course, classroom posters, because again, so classroom has to be motivating. And we invite them to contests and activities for Ukraine. That's why if you're a smart school teacher, so I saw some of you in our chat box, please check your emails. And we help with organizing extracurricular activities. We hand in some special books which will help you to organize these events, and also we provide our help. Of course, seminars and webinars, they are quite popular, so there are individual events organized just for our schools. And pilot project participation, so it means that before the introduction of a new book, we want to know the opinion of a Ukrainian teacher, whether this book is interesting or not so interesting. So that's why we offer the teachers a chance to evaluate and to provide us detailed feedback. So will it work or won't? And also the last but not the least, we believe that teacher is the profession where we need to develop constantly. That's why we believe that professional development has to be done for pleasure. And that's why we offer, every year we offer the lottery for our partner schools. And there will be 5 teachers from schools chosen who will go who will go abroad for professional development course for a week, and it will happen after the finishing of the studying year. So the vacation will start very well. So this year, the spring, will have the first trial organization of such trip, and hopefully everything will work well. So, and also the feedback, decentralized feedback and support from our partner schools is extremely important for us. So if you want to find out more, so you may go to our, again, Ukrainian website, mnpublication.com.ua. Fill an application form if you feel interested. We'll contact you, and if everything works well and we agree on conditions, so we'll sign a memorandum and start our cooperation. On this point, I'd like to say thank you very much for your time shared with us, and I'd like to remind you that each registered participant within 3 days, so means till the end of this week, yes, or till Friday, will receive the feedback form. So your task is to fill in the feedback form with the information, so to answer the questions which are given there, and after filling in the feedback form, within few days, you will receive the certificate of attending this event, which you may use successfully for your professional development and future career. If you have some questions, so my contact details are given in the letters below the information about the webinar, below the link which you received today, and we'll be happy to hear all of you, and thank you so much for sharing your time. Goodbye.